Hi, and welcome to the Money Tips No One Told You podcast, presented by First Pioneers Federal Credit Union. Here at First Pioneers, we're passionate about helping not only our members, but our community become financially successful. That success often starts with basic knowledge, things like knowing how different account types work, to understanding terminology, or even tips that make your life easier. The more you know, the more success you will have as you handle your money and your finances. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Heather, Marketing Director at First Pioneers Federal Credit Union, and today we decided to take a break from our mortgage series to talk about youth. In April, credit unions take the entire month to celebrate youth, so we thought this was a perfect time to talk to you about your kids and their finances. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are going to remember this, but I remember when I was in school, we took classes like home economics, and they taught us things like how to sew and how to cook, basic housekeeping things. I also remember that they taught us some basic banking, though. In fact, I remember that's how I learned how to write a check and how to balance a checkbook. I'm really telling my age right now, aren't I? But the point is, my son never learned any of these things in school. In fact, it's really become the responsibility of the parent or the caregiver to teach those kinds of things. But the challenge is, it's proving to be a challenge. Parents are often busy and they maybe just don't think about it. They think, we'll teach them that when they're older, when they're more ready for it. And then all of a sudden they have an adult. There's also that some parents just they don't know themselves, or they don't really know how to approach it. The really great thing about that is that people are actually starting to recognize this and the importance of creating opportunities for kids to learn these things. In fact, First Pioneers offers a financial basics seminar for teens. We do this at least once a year, and we're going to be adding one that's for young adults as well. The number of organizations that's offering these types of classes and seminars, it's growing daily. So check out your local community, or maybe even online, and see if you find some opportunities that might be helpful for you and your family. Parents, do you know the best first step in teaching your children? You are being a good example. The best way to teach a child is by showing. And you might discover that you have a few things to work on too while you're on this journey with them. But showing your kids growth and your willingness to learn and change is one of the best examples you can set for them. Let's be real about this. None of us are perfect, and it's okay for them to see that, because not only will they learn that it's okay to admit you need help, it also will show them that when you work hard and put work into it, you can change your situation and make it better. And when you start this conversation, it actually starts to normalize having money conversations. And it helps your children be more comfortable asking money questions. How many of you feel like money is a taboo subject? You just don't talk about it. It's no one's business, right? I feel like that's how I was raised. Your parents just handled it and you didn't really talk about it. But I truly believe when it's your immediate family and everyone's affected, a healthy conversation about finances can be really, really important. One of the really challenging things about talking to your kids about money is making sure you're being age appropriate. Your conversations are probably going to grow and change as your child grows and as their needs change. So for example, with your younger kids, you could start with something really easy like counting money. So not only is it a great math exercise, it also teaches them the values of different denominations and how to start recognizing them. Then, as they get older, you can get into more advanced things, all the way up to how to handle a checking account when they get their first job. As you can probably see from our past podcast episodes, financial conversations can cover a variety of topics. For this episode, we want to talk about basic money management that you can discuss with your kids. First, let's talk about how your child will earn or receive money. There are actually several ways this can happen, and maybe they receive money for a gift, for a birthday, or for an event like maybe graduation. I know several parents that do an allowance for their kids, and I have a suggestion for you on that one. Consider helping your child find ways to earn money. You could do this with chore-based compensations, which is really just a big word for saying pay them for the little jobs they do around the house. And you can even get little kids involved in something like this. You could do a quarter for making their bed or 50 cents for feeding the dog. The key is the chore should be age appropriate and the compensation should match the job. So maybe the bigger the job, the bigger the payment. But you know your child and your situation and what'll work in your house for that. But these payments could add up to what you were going to give them as an allowance anyway. But now, instead of just giving them the money, it gives them a sense of pride for earning their money. Now, you're showing them that money can be earned, that doing a good job is often rewarded, and then they can use it to buy the things that they want. As your kids get older, maybe help them find other means for making money. They could do things like babysitting or doing yard work for a neighbor. Of course, again, make sure the job is appropriate and that the person offering to hire them is someone you trust. Always safety first. But there are lots of creative ways for young people to make money besides a traditional job. And you might be surprised how many people are willing to hire them for those little jobs. They are aware that it not only helps them get things done, but they can be a part of those lessons and they might really enjoy it because, it takes a village, right? Now that they have money, what now? Well, this is a great time to include a talk about contentment and impulse buying. Ask them or have them ask themselves if they really need the brand new iPhone. The one they have is fine. It's working fine. It's not necessary to upgrade to the newest thing just because you can. Here's the reality. Contentment starts with you. It starts inside you. Your phone is still doing great things. Your car may not be the newest, but it's working and it's doing its job. So remind them, or maybe yourself, that it's not about what someone else has. It's what works for you and being happy with that, being content. Plus, that money may be something you could spend on something else, maybe even something that's a higher priority. So be content with what you have. And it's really kind of the same with an impulse purchase. Stores will put little things near the checkout to entice you to purchase. It's literally part of how they plan their store layout to increase sales. But that doesn't mean you need the thing. And reminding your children that spending $3 or $5 or $10 every time you go to the store will add up quickly. And instant gratification is not necessary to be happy. Again, ask them, will you want it tomorrow? Will you need it tomorrow? How long will you really use it or play with it? If those answers are no or not very long, then have them really consider if it's worth it. Look, if they still want it that badly the next time you go to the store or a week later, then maybe consider it. I would also consider this, let them buy it with their own money. So this way they start to understand that things really cost, and once they spend that money, it's gone until they earn more to replace it. So speaking of keeping track of all this money, let's talk about our second topic, which is budgeting and tracking. Budgeting may be a little more challenging for little ones, But as kids get bigger and become responsible for paying for things, it's a great time to start that conversation and that lesson. So, for example, maybe they want to subscribe to a new streaming service. I know my son likes one called Crunchyroll. They stream anime, and he's a big fan, so that's one he wants. But, I mean, how many of us have so many streaming services already? So we told him if he wanted it, he was welcome to have it, but he needed to pay for it himself. Or maybe your child pays their own cell phone bill or something similar to that. And these are a really great way to get started. It's a small bill for them to pay, and it's a good way to start teaching that budgeting process. So you can help them look at how much money they have, if they'll earn any in the future, then how much the bill will be each month. So let's say they receive a $10 allowance a month, and Crunchyroll is $6 a month. Well, they could take $6 out of 1 week's allowance, or maybe take $3 out of 2 different weeks, and that gives them the money to pay the bill. Basically, help them get creative if they need to, because let's be honest about it, sometimes budgeting just needs a little creativity, right? Now, last but certainly not least, let's talk savings. We talk about savings a lot here because it's one of the most important things you can do for your finances. And that's no different for your kids. And you can start teaching them about savings by helping them create goals for things they want to purchase. At first, it may be a toy or a game, and then a game system, and eventually it'll probably become bigger things like concert tickets or school or car, or maybe that phone we talked about earlier. And this can actually go hand in hand with your conversations about contentment and impulse buying. You can suggest they save up for those big things that they want. So there are several ways you can teach savings. For instance, for little kids, you may consider a clear jar that they put their money in. This way they can literally watch it grow as they put more in it. Or they'll see it get smaller when they spend part of it. The idea is there sometimes understanding is a lot easier when it's visual. So that may be a great way for them to see what's happening. Then, as your kids get older, you can start to teach the responsibility of having a savings account. So take them to your bank or credit union and open an account for them. Show them how to make deposits, how to make withdrawals. And then, of course, eventually, you're going to add accounts to that, like a checking account and so on, as they become adults and have different needs. The key is to talk to them and let them talk to you. Let them ask questions, and when you don't have answers, work on finding them. Wherever you bank is a great place to start. As we talked about earlier, there are organizations that offer programs. There are answers, and there are people that are genuinely willing to help. Look, again, showing them, being an example of how to move through their finances is invaluable to their financial future. Show them you're there to help. I want to give you guys a couple of bonus tips. First, teach your kids to give. Demonstrate the importance of giving. You can let them pick the charity, or maybe it's a church. Let them pick where they want to give. Giving helps someone. It can literally transform someone. It can help a family get back on their feet. It can help a child have Christmas presents where they wouldn't have before. In fact, an angel tree or something similar is a great place to start giving. But what a lot of people don't realize is that giving does help someone else, but it will also help the person that's giving. That feeling and that sense of love for someone else can change your life as well. So, teach your child to give. Bonus number 2, Teach your teens the danger of credit cards. As they get older, the offers will start coming in. Make sure they understand that credit cards are not a quick fix when you want something but don't have the money. If you don't have the money for something, you need to wait until you do. Credit card balances will grow way faster than you think, and then it can be a huge challenge to get out from under that debt. And minimum payments won't even make a dent in that balance, and it will continue to grow because of the interest that you owe. So, help them know the dangers and encourage them to just stay away from that kind of spending. What's the takeaway from today? What's your homework? Tell your kids Miss Heather gave you homework. It's actually pretty simple though. Talk to your kids. Share what you know about finances and money. Get creative on how you can help them. And don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to look for places where you can get guidance if you need it. Before we go, join us for our employee spotlight segment. At First Pioneers, we're a big family and we want you guys to get to know ours. So today I have Luoka joining me. Welcome, Luoka.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
So I'm Luoka Bolden. I'm the CEO here at First Pioneers, and I've been here for 23 years. I started in 1999 in the accounting department, and then in 2003, I was promoted as CEO.
Wow, what a great career. Okay, let's jump into our questions. So what are you passionate about?
I'm very passionate about financial education. Financial literacy is just not taught in school anymore. And we see it. We see it here with our members' credit scores, their credit habits. So we really focus on making sure we're educating our members on what's the right way to handle finances. We do that through several different ways, but we have financial education classes, and we have a youth class, 13 to 17. And in that, we usually talk about spending habits and wants versus needs. And then we have a young adults class, which is 18 to 25. And there we talk about building your credit, keeping your credit score. Instead of keep lowering it, we want it to go up. So that's what we do. We have we teach them how to maintain their credit, making sure they pay on time, not getting too much out of whack with having multiple credit cards versus installment loans. And then we go into our adult financial education class, which is more credit repairs and budgeting. And then we also have another segment that we do first-time home buyers. And we allow them, we give them information, because buying a home for the first time is just, it's just a maze. You don't know what you need to do until someone asks you for information. So that's a really important class. My daughter is actually purchasing a home for the first time, and she keeps calling me and saying, "Mom, what do I do? What do I do?" So we're very happy to provide a lot of education to our members. We try and do education pieces on our social media. All our loan officers, well, actually everyone in the credit union is a certified financial counselor. So everybody tries to give advice whenever people come in with problems. So that's one of my things that I'm very passionate about.
It's a great passion. I love it. I love being part of that too. Thank you for letting me do that.
You're welcome.
So tell us something that's on your bucket list.
So one of the things on my bucket list is to go to Iceland to see the Northern Lights. I'm very passionate about travel. So that is one of the things that I want to do before I get too old to move around without a walker.
That sounds beautiful. I can't wait to hear all about it. Okay. So what do you see as the future of the credit union?
Well, that's a very good question. Right now, we're in the process of adding on to our building. We're building a 7,700 square foot admin building. That way we can provide more services, products and services to our members. We built a huge financial education room. As I said earlier, we're very passionate about financial education. So we're going to have an area to do our training for our members. And then we just see the credit union growing. We're growing leaps and bounds. Over the last year, we've grown so much, and we just really do predict to grow even more in our membership size and our deposits. We expect to add another branch probably in the next 5 to 7 years. We're looking at an area, probably not in Lafayette, but outside, maybe in one of the other 5 parishes that we service. And I really do see the credit union is strong. We have a very good future. We want to make sure we're providing the services that our members need. And that way they trust us to continue and recommend us to all of their friends and family.
That's so great. Such a great future. So glad to be part of that too. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And we really enjoyed visiting with you today and hearing all of your great thoughts. Everyone join us next time for another Spotlight. Thank you so much for joining us today. You've just watched our YouTube version of our Money Tips No One Told You podcast. There is also a blog version on our website at firstpioneers.com. You can always find us at any of our branches in Lafayette or in New Iberia, Louisiana, on our website or on any of our socials. We're here to help you in any way that we can, and we really appreciate you watching. See you next time.